He'd find it in a town. He'd find it in a town. He'd find it down for 200. Looky here. He'd find it in a 200,000. He'd find it in a 50, 60. He'd find it in a 50 here to 60 here to 50 here to 60 here to 40, 60 here to 60. He'd find it 70. He'd find it back 70. He'd find it in a town to 80. He'd find it 80 here to 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 100. He'd find it upon 10. He'd find it upon 10. He'd find it 10, 20. You're out. He'd find it upon 10, 120. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 120. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 120, 120, 120, 110, 20. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 120. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 120. He'd find it gonna take 115. 4 we go 110, 15. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 115. He'd find it in a town upon 10, 115. He'd find it contained in a town upon 10, 115, 115, 115, 110, 115. He'd find it where we go. He'd find it upon 10, 15, in a town upon 10, in a 15, in a town upon 10, in a upon 15. Now 20, you're out. 120, you about had it. 115, 120. He'd find it in a town 120. He'd find it in a town 117, 5. He'd now 20. 117, 520. We're getting on them short rows. He'd find it down 20. He 122, 5. He'd find it down 25. He'd find it upon 25. He'd find it down 125. He'd find it upon 122, 5. He'd upon 25. He'd find it upon 25. He'd find it upon 130. He'd find it upon 30. He'd find it now. He'd find it upon 30. He 125. Reserve is off on the car of the block, and your man's out. I got 125, 130. He'd find it down 130. He 127, 5, 30. He'd find it down 130. He'd find it down 127, 5, 130. He'd find it down 130, 130, 130, 130, 130, 130, 130. He 135, you're out. He find it upon 35. He find it upon 30, 130, 135, 130, 130, 5 and 5. So to 130, right.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. All free citizens. Mayday, mayday, mayday. All that can hear. America has been overthrown. Repeat, America has been overthrown. Communist occupation. Repeat, heavy communist occupation. Location 15 degrees, 24, 15 north, 30 degrees east, 103. Repeat, 15 degrees, 24, 15 north, 30 degrees east, 10, 3, 20, 50. They were surrounded. All comms are unsecure. Repeat, all comms are unsecure. The media has been taken over. Repeat, emergency, mayday, mayday. All media has been taken over. Request information. Repeat, request information. Find Covert Radio. Repeat, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, Tango. Repeat, Covert Radio. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
This is Covert Radio, and this is fearlessly unapologetic talk radio. Big Talk Energy, y'all. Big Talk Energy. Hashtag Big Talk Energy. Again, this is Covert Radio. This is talk radio format, and we got a lot of things to get into. This is going to be a media-heavy little presentation for you here, and, you know, I have no notes. We're just going to go over a bunch of things you can see on the screen there. Mr. Newsom going to give us them preparations, you understand? Mr. Newsom going to give us that $5 million. Vote for him. So, the auctioneer you heard in the beginning, number one, I love his cadence, and I'm working on a song with him in it. And number two, everything is for sale. There's only a handful of people that really understand why America is being invaded legally. Well, it is illegal, but nobody's doing anything about it on both sides. The uniparty just seems more and more realistic to me. It always has. That's why I don't vote, because it doesn't matter. There is one party. It really is us versus them. And you're going to learn something heartbreaking in this video right here, especially if you're black, because for many, many, many years, the Democrats, which is really just another form of tribalism, they've given everybody all kinds of different forms of ways to self-identify so that you will be pulled into a category at any given moment. You're white, you're black, you're trans, you're straight, you're a woman, you're a man, you're this, you're that, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a liberal, you're a constitutionalist, you're a nationalist, you're a Nazi, you're a this, you're a that, you're a racist, blah, blah, blah. Really none of it means anything to, people who have any form of, free thought, who aren't consumed with the bread and circus on the day-to-day basis, who aren't consumed with, the addiction of money. Anybody who takes 5 minutes and thinks about what's happening here, it's pretty self-evident. Speaking of self-evident, when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right. It is also their duty to throw off this type of government and to provide new guards for their future security. Let me read that all as it was written in the Declaration of Independence. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right and it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I think it's fair to say that we are under absolute despotism, and no matter what faction of rogue element that's trying to tell you what to put into your body, what to put into your bloodstream, what shots you're going to get, what food you're going to eat, what chemicals you're going to ingest, how much sugar you're going to eat. I mean, the FDA is a fucking joke. I think it's safe to say that there are many factions pursuing the same people, the American people, and really the world, but I don't give a fuck about them. I care about us here at home. And I care about the invasion that we're all sitting on our hands watching happen. The government is out of control. The people, the geniuses who founded this country, put safeguards in so that the tyranny they lived under King George III, could never happen again in the United States, in the New World. That's what the Second Amendment is for. That's what freedom of speech is for. Thomas Jefferson said it was in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. His exact words: when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. He was recognizing the right of a revolution. And they all knew at some point in time that what they build and the systems they installed would eventually be corrupted and usurped, taken over. And then once the abuse started, where, you know, I'm working on a meme right now. It's a cartoon. And if you're an artist, whatever, you want to take it, take it. Here's the record. You heard it here first. I've never seen this. It's going to be two squares. And the top of the meme is going to say, so tell me when this changed. Something like that. I'm still working on it. But anyway, it's going to have a woman sitting at a desk with a typewriter or say a laptop in front of her or something. And she's going to have business attire on. And there's going to be a man standing basically over her to her right. And he's going to have a suit on. And he's going to be holding his hands down by his genitals. And, making it look like he's about to unzip his private area there. And the caption for that square is going to be, you're going to put this inside of you if you want to keep your job. And then right underneath of that, the very next square is going to be the same woman, the same position, the same desk. She's sitting at a desk with a laptop. And the same guy is going to be standing there, and his hands are still going to be down near his genitalia, but instead of unzipping his zipper, he's going to be holding a syringe. And he's going to say, you're going to put this inside of you if you want to keep your job. So my question is, how is one acceptable, and you can go to prison for that, but the other one is glorified? Because if you boil down the bare essence of what's happening, an outside forceful being is telling you to put something in your body or risk losing your job if you don't. They knew this day was going to come. They knew this day was going to come. The politicians have nothing left for the black race. Do you understand what I just said? Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it big time. We're going to get into it big time. The politicians have nothing left for the black race. The hot sauce in my purse is, a joke. The qualified immunity, we gon' ban that. Yeah, joke. They've been called out too many times. They have nothing. There's no more tricks up the sleeve. The only thing they can do now is replace the black race with immigrants, which is exactly what they're doing by the 10 to 20,000 a day that are now walking over the border. Just walking over the border. They're being flooded, and cities are being flooded in America. And unless you live in one of these cities, you have no idea. You have no idea how bad it is. I live in one. There's going to be a war. There's going to be a very bloody war again. They can't. They have one last thing they can do, and that's ridiculously start handing out money. You know, here's a cookie, go away, basically. Here's a cookie, go away. But see, I also believe nobody's ever going to convince me that this hasn't been so well thought out that they know, oh, well, you know, hey, the federal government's not going to sign off on this because it's, you know, the taxpayers, they're going to foot the bill. No. And if the government tries to make, especially the southern states, pay for reparations, there is going to be a civil war. Mixed in with a race war, mixed in with whatever you want to call it, because that has been on the books and they're never going to stop trying. And I've been talking about this for 7 years. The coming race war, the coming race war, the coming race war. And if anything, the main reason that this is going to happen logistically is to take care of a lot of people that the military won't have to take care of. You know, when there's 30, 40, 50 million people laying dead on the streets and hundreds of millions of rounds of ammunition spent, the UN, again, I've said all of this, the UN's just going to walk right in. And yeah, they'll clean it up. They'll clean it up. But anybody left will not have the ammunition to fight. Their food will be spent. They'll have no more means to resist the digital tenocracy, the tyranny that's coming. You can try to resist all you want, and for a while you may be able to. You'll just be shunned out of society. You'll just be shunned. Eventually, though, you will not be accepted. See, every dystopian movie that the tribe has put out over the last 20-some, 30-some years has brought us to exactly where we are today. RoboCop, Running Man, what's the one with Schwarzenegger? Total Recall. I mean, there's so many movies. And I'm leaving out so many good ones. It brought us all here to a technologically controlled, tyrannical governance system of digital control. And that's where we're at. But before they can officially solidify that, it's going to be blood in the streets. There's going to be blood in the rivers. Because nobody's going to be putting up with this. Nobody's going to be putting up with $5 million reparations to every black person. It's never, ever going to happen. And I've been telling you guys this, reparations may happen in pockets, but it's never, ever going to happen. And if it does, it is the final nail in the coffin, because blue-collar, hardworking men and women are not going to pay for this. And there is no state in this entire country that can afford what these lunatics are trying to literally give themselves. Do you even know how much we're talking here? And if you're black, I'm sure you feel hopeful. I'm sure you're like, yeah, that'd be great. But let me tell you something. Do you know how many people are, if this would actually somehow go through a very modified version from what they're talking about right now, if it would go through, it's going to be so watered down. You know, there are a couple places in the country right now that have legally, they have legally given themselves reparations. And one of those places is in Illinois. It's a city called Everett or Evanston or something like that. The woman's name is Robin Simmons, and I know she was the alderman for this town or city. And she created legislation for reparations. It was passed. I mean, this is the first ever government-funded reparations legislation that was passed. And it's a very localized situation where I think they get, it's something like they get a voucher for $25,000 for a house or to fix up the house or something like that. I'd have to look into it. Or you can look into it. Her name is Robin Simmons, Everson, I think it was, Illinois, Evanston, something like that. And you can see that is the first ever government-funded legislation that's been turned into a law. And this psychopath demon right here, this guy, you see him? Let me see if you guys can see that. Let me look here. Yeah, there he is. He looks like every villain on every... He looks like the dude that's the head of the Capitol in Hunger Games. This is Gavin Newsom. Screw some Trewsome. And Mr. Newsom gonna give us them preparations. Here's his poster boy for preparations. It's a joke. It's a joke, and I've been telling you it's a joke. He used it for political gain, and we're going to quickly go over that just so you understand the game. And maybe the next time when somebody's trying to tell you, he black, he got my back, just like Obama phone, just like Obama or whoever the fuck you think gives two shits about you as a monolith race, it's always going to be used against you. It's always going to be used against you. I'm going to give you a very quick example of how this works. And it's probably going to sicken you. And it'll sicken you a little bit more if you're black. California governor, by the way, this is what? Yesterday? California Governor Newsom declined to back reparation checks. And he says slavery's legacy is about more than cash payments. California governor pledges to advance systemic changes after a task force that he created did their job and they basically came up with a number and a plan of how they want to take $5 million to start with. That's the start of it. And then every black person will get $97,000 a year salary. They won't have to work. They'll be tax exempt, or they'll be able to buy houses for $1. I'm not fucking kidding you. It's lunacy. And the people on this task force that he initiated have doctorates. And you know, I said, the black people listening to me right now, this is going to make you sick when I show you how you've been clowned again. And the white people listening to me, you better fucking pay close attention to what I'm going to show you. Because see, here's the problem, white people. And here's the problem, black people who understand that this isn't about fucking race. Race is being used as a weapon. You understand that? But let me tell you something about tax-paying intelligent people, be it they're white, they're black, they're yellow, they're red. I don't care. I don't care because I treat people on a belly-to-belly basis. Belly to belly. However, I'm also not an idiot and I watch trends. If I'm walking through a yard and I'm blindfolded and I keep smelling roses, and by the time I get to the other end of the yard and somebody says, okay, now, if you had to guess, did you smell sunflowers, tulips, dog shit, or roses? Well, let's see here. I walked 10 minutes through a big-ass yard. I've smelled roses the entire time. Distinctively know they're roses because I can't stand the smell of roses. And, yeah, roses. Oh. So, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I watch trends. And, yes, there is a lot of black people, XYZ. Yes, there are a lot of white people, XYZ. It's cultural, it's characteristic, whatever. It's genetic, whatever. But again, at the end of the day, I'm belly to belly, one-on-one. You better pay attention to what I'm going to show you, okay? You may not even know about this, number one. That's how comfortable you've become. You work, or you have your dead husband's pension, or you have money to burn, or whatever. You have credit cards out the ass, or maybe you have a great job and this and you live in a good school district in a good neighborhood, and you hear about all these crazy things in the inner cities, but it's coming to you on a speeding train. And you've become so comfortable in your little cushy delusion bubble world that is all your own. It is your reality, because your reality is your reality. It's not my reality. It's not 20 people I could line up right now. It's a very, very, very personal and individual thing. Even though there are many, many things that we commonly recognize as real, but your existence is your own. And you've become docile. The TV has made you docile. The screens have made you docile. The flicker rates are finely tuned anywhere between 60 and 144 hertz, which is the alpha wave generators. And we're all in a comatose, hypnotose state every day. Very, very, very impressionable. And again, I'll say this for the 1,000th time. If you think it's not true, put SpongeBob on, and your 6-year-old daughter or son, stand them in front of your 55, 65-inch fucking 4K, 810p, whatever the fuck, and watch the drool just come out of their mouth. And say their name in just a very normal tone. Billy. He won't even hear you. Billy won't even hear you. Billy is in a alpha wave pattern that's full of impression, with blinding lights burning holes in his retina and cornea, creating images so that then we go to the commercial, Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, 60 to 144 hertz, just in case you ever want to look into that. Maybe you want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know what you care about, but you better care about what I'm about to say. You've been so lulled to sleep, and you think these people have your back, your local government, and maybe you vote, maybe you don't. You better get involved. You see what's happened to the schools while you've been asleep. You see what's now happening locally. God forbid you have to live in a sanctuary city or even town. The next video I'm going to do for Covert Radio is going to blow your mind. You better start really paying attention to what's happening and get involved, because this piece of shit Newsom has lied and cheated his way all the way through this and led a lot of good people by the nose. California Governor Gavin Newsom declined to endorse the cash payments, which could reach as high as $1.2 million per person. He denied it, saying the legacy of slavery is about much more than cash payments. So let's see here. The legacy of slavery in a state that never had slavery, with people who were never slaves, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't want to know the truth, Covert Radio. I just want to know what makes me angry or it makes me feel good. That's all I want to know. I don't want to know the truth. I don't want to know that slavery was roughly just about 10 states, very focused in the southeast part of the United States, but more so in the southern parts, but heavily in the southeastern. I don't want to know about that, because I'm going to get millions of dollars in houses. Illinois never had slaves, no cotton gins, no sugar plantations, no tobacco farms. But yet every black person there is getting free fucking houses, For what? And wait till this shit keeps snowballing. Just wait. Because you are going to pay for this. And something, I have a very odd feeling. Let's see here. What happened? Taxation without representation. Your local government, your state government, and your federal government has been infiltrated by people who do not belong there, but were elected because he black. And now they're more of us, so we just say he black, so now he the mayor. He got a GED, but he the mayor now. Cause he black. You know how many cities in America have he black mayors right now? That is the next video with Covert Radio. It's going to blow your mind. Taxation without representation. All the places talking about reparations or have now made it a law have never really had slaves. There's no cotton industry. There's no tobacco industry. There's no coffee fucking industry, which is what ran the South. Again, not even I've covered this for hours in past videos, and I'm not getting into this. But just so you're reminded, the 4 biggest reasons for the Civil War were state versus federal rights and what they called overreach, what they still continuously do. That's why, like in Colorado, when the state legalized recreational use of marijuana, the feds would still come in and kick their fucking doors in and shut their business down and confiscate all the money and the dope and take it back to Washington and divvy it up. And then they would reopen, they would restock, the customers would come back because the state voted it to be legal. But it's not federally legal. See, this has been an issue for hundreds of years. And we went to war because of it at one point in time. It was because of states versus federal rights. It was heavily about economics. Slavery was definitely a part of it. But a lot of it was the election of Abraham Lincoln. And again, for optics, why do you think a lot of Trump's initial media in 2016 was around Lincoln? The Lincoln Memorial, the Lincoln this, Lincoln reincarnated, la, 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 la. History's repeating itself over and over and over again. The country was polarized in 1860. There was half or more of the country, clearly because we fucking went to war for it, half or more of the country despised Abraham Lincoln. And when he was elected president in November of 1860, he was what, 15th, 16th president of the United States? When he was elected, the South considered that the final blow. That was it. They were done. And it led directly to the state starting to secede from the United States. I don't, what are you talking about, Covert Radio? It was about slavery. That was it. We killed millions of white men and women and children, and, there's been whole entire family lineages destroyed because of it, all because we wanted to free the slaves. That's why. Yes, that's part of it. That is part of it. But more so, Lincoln did not want slavery to continue out to the West. He wanted it where it was at, and he wanted to abolish it eventually, quickly. But it was the final blow. The southern states, that was it. They knew all about him. They knew what he wanted to do. They knew what his agenda was. Again, think about Trump 2016. Lincoln Memorial, this, that, Lincoln, da, 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 da. It's the same thing. It's the same fucking script over and over again. It was only 4 or 5 months after Lincoln was elected that the Civil War started, and it was bloody, and there were streams that ran red with blood. There were rivers that were tinged with red because of the blood. South Carolina, the second he was elected, perceived that as basically a threat to their sovereignty and their way of life and the way they wanted to run their state. They called for a state convention. They voted to remove themselves, the state of South Carolina. They voted to remove themselves from the Union that was known as the United States of America. They seceded. Then Georgia seceded. Mississippi seceded. They all started seceding. We do not want this. We do not want Abraham Lincoln. He is not our president. Not my president. Where's my sign? Not my president. Trump is to polarize the country again. Trump is echoing Lincoln again. While at the same time, they're flooding the country with military-aged men who are going to kill you and your family, slit your throats from ear to ear and not think twice about it, because their whole life, just like the Black Americans, have been brainwashed that you white man, you white woman is the enemy. And as they keep electing themselves into positions of power, they're going to show you. They're going to take your money. They're going to take your taxes. And the only way out of this is a war. Now, listen to what I'm telling you. Do you think they're doing this? Is a controlled play. You think they're doing this on their own? They're being allowed to do this. They're being allowed to do this. They're being allowed to do this because they need this war. The controllers need this race war. They need this Civil War 2.0. They need this before they can have their digital, their Elysium. Their Elysium. Their Capitol. When your digital I can't wait till the next video, man. This is what's happening. I'm weaving, because I haven't really done it yet, but I know what I want to do, and I'm weaving in and out of it in my head. I can't do that. I want to stay on topic here. The South hated Lincoln. They hated him. They started seceding. They knew that when he became president, slavery would be stopped, and it's going to destroy their pockets. It's going to destroy the coffee industry, the rum, the sugar, whatever, cotton industry, the tobacco, massive tobacco industry down south. And they knew that. They knew once slavery was over, that's it. They're done. Their empires are done. And it wasn't just only white plantation owners. There were free slaves. There were free black men and women that owned plantations. I mean, that's not convenient, Covert Radio. But like I said, Lincoln wanted to stop slavery and then eventually abolish it. But, they weren't having it. They weren't having it. And what they're trying to do here with this shit, with reparations in states that never had slavery, is literally a fucking kidney punch. And it's just starting. Kamhula Moore, chair of the California Reparations Task Force, left with Amos Brown, vice chair, at the California Science Center, Los Angeles, September 22 of 22. See, Newsom got himself into this because he needed the black vote. Because I think he set the record right now for recall votes, or recall elections, in the entire country. In the entire country's history. He's had seven recall elections. And what that means is people want him out of his fucking position. But let me finish this here. The task force recommendation breaks down payments by types of historical discrimination. For example, these geniuses say that black residents affected by redlining by banks would receive $3,366 for each year they lived in California from the early 1930s to the late 1970s. So every one of them would, their first little check would be $148,099. Then black residents could receive roughly $2,352 in compensation for over-policing and mass incarceration for each year they lived in California between 1970 and 2020. And that little check would amount to $115,260. For black Californians who check enough boxes, the total payout could reach $1.2 million. Here's this lunatic. I'm not going to play it, but he's like, where the money? Where the money? $5 million ain't nothing. Where the real money? Yeah, this is all Newsom's creation. And I just want to show you one thing here. I want you to look at the date. And this is what I want to show you about how you've been tricked. And think back of how many years, how stupid do you feel for how you've been basically just led around by these politicians, and your votes have been sucked out of you, stolen from you essentially, over fake bullshit promises of reparations. This was May 7th of 2021. You see that right there? Published May 7th. And this is the California.gov site. This is an article on their official government site. Governor Newsom announces appointments to the first in the nation task force to study reparations for African Americans. Governor Gavin Newsom appointed the 5 individuals to serve on the newly formed task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. Again, May 7th of 2021. And this is Dr. Cheryl Grillis, Dr. Amos Brown, hula, lula, whatever. Another doctor. All these geniuses came up with this bullshit. Malarkey. Numbskulls. Bunch of numbskulls, you hear? You want your skull thumped for you? What are you, some kind of numbskull? Yeah, see, that's why I can't stand people with doctorates. Give a fuck what you memorized for 8 years, clown. I don't care. So I just want to show you this. May 7th of 2021. Okay? So just to give you a quick background. There has been 7 total recall petitions for Newsom. 7 total. The one petition, it was in February of 2020. Mind you, like I said, this is May of 2021. It was the 7th or the 6th or 7th, I forget. It was in February 2020. And it made it all the way to the actual recall election that was served against him. And that would have been, so, with politics, you want to run for an office, you got to start a year ahead of time. There's petitions, you need signatures, there's, all kinds of shit. But so February 2020, they started the petition because in 2021, they wanted to have the recall election to get him the fuck out of there. Because the people in the state, they suffered the highest taxes in the nation. They have the highest homelessness in the nation, the lowest quality of life, the most pollution. Like, California is a shithole, literally. And again, I'm weaving with 2 videos in my mind. That's the next video. But that just shows you the 7 times people have tried to get him out. See what I mean about falling asleep, people? When you think people represent you in your local district, you better get involved. Because 7 times they tried to get this lunatic out of the governor's seat, and they could not do it. And the last time, Biden and Kamala Harris came to California relentlessly campaigning for him. There's a myriad of reasons that these people, you only need something like 1 million maybe signatures just to make it a point through COVID even. They got over, it was like 1.5 million or 2 million signatures. It was like over 100 times, 100% over what they needed. So, like I said, there's a whole series of things that have to happen. By this date, this has to be certified. By that date, this has to be certified. By this, the petition was, it has a deadline for that. By this and that, this and that. And then, so this is all going in the direction. People were done with him. They want him out of the governor's seat. For the 7th time in California, they want him out. This is moving forward. Then, I know you remember this. It was in November of 2020, height of COVID, and he's talking about everybody's on, maybe you can only eat turkey with a mask on. Just suck the gravy through the mask and limit it to one person. They had all these fucked up, it's just unbelievable. They try to tell you who you can have at your house for that. And I'm telling you, people followed this to the T. There are people out there who will do whatever they are told. Here, put this in you or you lose your job. Here, put this in you or you're going to lose your job, right? Until it's 20 years, 30, 40, 50 years later, and you're like, oh, he touched me. Oh, yeah, Trump's now. That's also another video. Oh, I wish I had more time. But, yeah. There was a picture that came up. Let me see here. I know I could find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. This started circulating in the media. This is Newsom at some large event in wine country, and this is Thanksgiving, and nobody there this is the elite. There's lobbyists there. 100 so people, whatever, big ass party, private event. They shut down the whole place indoors, even the glass, you see the glass windows there. While 3 days prior to that, he's telling you who you can and can't have at your house for Thanksgiving and how you have to suck gravy through a mask. And yeah. And then this started circulating in the media. And then he got caught because then he said it was outdoors. He's like, oh, yeah, it was outdoors. That's why nobody had masks on. He tried to say that before he realized there was an actual picture of it. And then once the photographs started showing up and they showed him maskless and all these people around, he was like, and whatever. I think maybe he did apologize. I think he did. My next time it'll be, mind you, he is in the middle of a recall election process and he knows it. Not only are people pissed about him at this point in time for everything that's wrong in California, now he's exposed as an elitist who can, rules for thee and none for me type shit. And that pissed voters off almost more than anything. So that's when that petition surged, or however, they got something like 500,000 new signatures within 1 month because of this picture right here. So again, that was November, December of 2020. Mind you, again, when did he create this task force? So right here, we're in November, December 2020. Shit hit the roof again. And then, so come spring, a few months later, May 7th, 2021. Listen, do I need to really keep going? Do I need to keep going? Do I got to go through the certification? And when he started recall campaigning, it started in March. Once it was official, once the documents are in, once they overshot the signatures needed, once the Secretary of State solidified everything and said, absolutely, it's official, the certification is official, alert the Lieutenant Governor, they're legally required to call the election within 60 to 80 days. The people want this motherfucker out. 60 to 80 days within right now, it's official. We got to have this election redone. This is a recall election. People want him out. And look, then he starts sweating. Now he's literally campaigning. He had between March and September after this, between March and September of 2021. And it started with the CNN interviews and, I've been, doing everything through Zoom and this and that. And, my children, this and that. He's the family guy. He's overworked. He's stressed. He's dealing with, he's just started this whole fucking thing. Joe Biden comes in. Kamala Harris comes in. They're campaigning. They're going around Long Beach, this, that. Biden's it's just disgusting what they've done. Listen, that's not, there's shit we, nobody even cares. None of us, it's people in the state. There was a whole other thing, $26 billion in federal aid all of a sudden disappeared. There was $100 billion missing for this. You want to talk about a fucking piece of shit, man. He was very, 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 very scared after the shit came out about the federal aid, because the majority of that money was supposed to go to housing development for poor people. There was after school programs. There was a bunch of different, things that dealt with lower class and people in poverty. Once that came out, they came up with this right here. So now do you understand that it's all bullshit and it's never going to happen? And once the commission that he put together, he himself, on May 7th, 2021, it was officially launched. These people, this committee right here, this task force. And then once the report's done and they get the numbers together and they say, okay, we got it. We got it ready. We're ready for our check. He's like, nah. We're going to go ahead and decline that. I mean, it's more than about cash payments. He was never going to do it. He was never, ever, ever, ever going to do it. And what's sad is you still have these communists in the media and these Zionists. They keep putting articles out. California's reparations proposal inches forward. He's not backing it. So it can inch forward all at once. He's not going to sign it into law. And every politician can have their licks. Look, this is Axios right here. Look at this article. California's reparations proposal inches forward. This was on what? May the 9th. Yesterday. May the 9th. Or 2 days ago, I mean. World leaders, reparations. Get the fuck out of here. World leaders? Nobody. See, this is the delusion of a lot of black people in America. Nobody gives a fuck. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because slavery has been going on for thousands of years. Just like we've all had our turn in Egypt, we've all had our turn under somebody else's fucking thumb, including today. except the cage or the chain is a fucking paycheck, a credit card, health insurance, and digital fucking tenocracy that is being unleashed hour by hour. Those are the new chains. Nobody gives a fuck, okay? Trust me. And then if you do somehow get somebody to start pushing this shit through, we're going to have a civil war because people aren't going to pay for this shit. Especially in states that slavery never even fucking existed. You want money from people? Go after the coffee industry. Go after the fucking cotton industry. Go after the tobacco industry. All this fucking tax, $10, $12 for a pack of cigarettes. Take $3 out of every pack and pay reparations. Done. But nobody in the world cares, I assure you, because every culture, every civilization has had slaves. Ancient Egypt had slaves. Ancient China, the Manchu with the Ming Dynasty enslaved the Qing. What the fuck are you talking about? Wu-Tang. The Akkadian Empire, Assyrians, Babylonian, Persians, they all had slaves. Even Israel, ancient Israel had slaves. The Greeks had slaves. The Roman Empire was built by slaves. Who do you think built the cobblestone road system, the highway system? Arabs, the Indians, the Caliphate, the Sudanese, like everybody in the world has dealt with slavery. So just because the government allowed you to fucking go crazy for 2 years, see, everybody has this ego that you're just going to act with immunity now, right? Yeah. While you have you have people, literal dum-dums like this with brain damage. Listen closely.
And she said, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Ma'am, like, I need you to back up or leave, like, but we can't do that for you." So she started charging at me. I came all the way back into my office, into an enclosed space, and I hit her in the face.
A shocking moment caught on camera when a Target employee punches a customer in the face after she cornered him in an office.
You backed him into an office and you got hit in the face, unfortunately.
When people who are backed into a corner, they can choose, they can choose to do the right thing or they can choose to lash out.
Okay, you were in the wrong here, just so we're clear.
I held the...
She says the whole altercation was her way to take a stand.
This is my Rosa Parks moment, dude. Don't play with me.
The incident happened on October 22nd of last year at a Target in Blue Ash, Ohio. Security video shows 37-year-old Karen Ivory checking out at the register. When the bill surpasses $1,000, Ivory says she won't have enough.
This is her order.
Okay.
And she said, "I'm not going to have enough money to pay for this. I need to talk to the manager. She's not going to be walking by."
Body camera video captures Target manager Ashley Meyer describing to police what happened.
So I came around and I was like, "Hey, what can I do for you?"
Okay.
Usually it's like the price is wrong or whatever. She starts going on this spiel about about how like I've had a privileged life and she's been disadvantaged, and then said that she was asking Target to make reparations for her. And I said, that's not something we can do tonight. If you need a donation, like
I'm trying to understand the illness where you just wake up right around before Christmas, October of 2022, a few months ago, essentially, and you're just like, I'm going shopping at Target, and I'm going to fill 2 buggies or a buggy up with thousands of dollars worth of things. I have no money, or maybe I have some money, but I can't pay for all this. And I'm just going to walk out of this store. or I'm going to tell the, better yet, I mean, instead of going that route, which is what a lot of other people do, instead of doing that, she's just going to demand that other people pay for it because they're white. Because they're white. Because just because of white skin, this woman somehow makes the determination that this woman here in the glasses and red shirt has had a privileged life. Her life has been so much better. Whatever fucking delusions. Just like here. World leaders, reparations for slave. Nobody gives a fuck. Okay? And clearly, including the tribe kings who sold you to the Jewish-owned slave ships that were there to pick up cargo. Or better yet, trade human bodies for a few bottles of rum and some shiny trinkets. You don't know history. And if you do know history, you know what I'm saying is 100% true. And I say that based off of actual written records. Who owned the ships that sailed down to Africa? Who leased those ships out? Follow the money, follow the trail. The tribe benefited greatly off of slavery, but somehow they've been able to circumvent a lot of that. And you know, now they can just sit in their ivory towers at the head of media companies and point their fucking crooked fingers, right? I apologize for swearing. This is PG, I guess, anymore. Isn't that considered PG? PG-13 probably. Yeah. So nobody cares. But yeah, let's rewind to just a touch here. And here we go.
I've had a privileged life and she's been disadvantaged, and then said that she was asking Target to make reparations for her. And I said, that's not something we can do tonight. If you need a donation, you can call tomorrow. I can put you in touch with the HR person, but that isn't something I can do for you right now tonight. Okay. And then she was like, you need to put me in touch with someone tonight. And I was like, I can't. There isn't. Okay. Strange. Yeah. And then she got really close to me. Mm-hmm. So I put my hands up and backed up, and she followed me. She was like breathing into my eyeballs.
Was she screaming at you, or?
Yeah. So she got really close to me. I put my hands up. I touched her shoulders because she was coming into my space. Okay. And then she because I touched her, she went after that and just started screaming really loudly and backing up against the soda machine. Okay. And then that's when our security person, she called our security person.
Security video shows the incident unfold as Ivory approaches the manager and gets in her face. After that, a loss prevention manager approaches.
So what happened?
She demanded us to requisition out for $1,000 in merchandise. Okay. Came up, I tried to verbally de-escalate. She told me that she wanted to wreck it out, and I told her we couldn't do that. Okay. And then she said, excuse me, and I was like, man, I need you to back up or leave, but we can't do that for you. So she started charging at me. I came all the way back into my office, into an enclosed space, and I hit her in the face.
Surveillance video shows Ivory run after the manager and into his office. When she approaches, he punches her in the face. While the security video does not have audio, the manager later described the incident to police on body camera video.
I tried to literally close her out, but at that point she was pretty much running, so she barreled her way in and then kept coming into my office.
Okay. Yes, and you just hit her and that's it?
Hit her right in the face, right in the jaw.
After the manager punches Ivory in the face, security video shows him calling 911.
What did your notes say? The lady came in and punched her man, or her manager punched her?
Yeah, some sort of shenanigans. Didn't say anything about a manager. Said somebody came into an office,
I thought it
started
was
assaulting him.
Assumed it was a manager.
Allegedly, this chick's impaired.
When officers arrive, body camera footage captures Ivory arguing with the manager as officers work to get her information.
I tried to close you out of my office and you just kept on pushing your way in.
That's right.
No, sir. I didn't push my way in.
Yes, you did.
No, I came around the corner quickly.
Hey, would you
I did not push
quit
you.
talking? Hey, no.
Excuse
Let's
you?
Stop talking. When I'm telling you, you stop talking, okay?
Do you know who I am?
We'll figure that out when I get your ID.
Ivory later tells police officers the incident stemmed from her request for reparations on her purchase.
So what caused the issue then here today?
Because
Check
I
lane
came
10.
in,
Ashley's kind of.
Target is somewhat of a home for me. And we were gonna have a big discussion here, and I asked them to do nicely.
Who are you going to have this big discussion with?
With Target, whoever in Target I needed to speak with.
Okay.
I asked
So I ran.
nicely, the young lady,
Hi, George, 31 squads responding,
I'm not gonna do
2432,
that,
updating
I'm not gonna
available
put you in
permits
touch. I
to
said, who would you
38
call
call,
if this place was called fire? I asked her to put me in touch with the right people, who would you call if this place was on fire? It was. She would not. I'm not gonna do that. The young man came over, stood behind her, I asked him the same thing.
I'm kind of like asking,
They
like, what's going on?
teamed up,
What can I
we
do?
are not.
What's going on here?
Actually, no, the young lady got in my face, she pushed me too. She put her hands on me.
Yeah, so we're not going to watch the rest of this psychosis, but yeah. I also wanted to tell you this too, and then we're going to wrap it up here in a moment. But this is unbelievable, man. See, not only in California, again, a state that was never part of the South or the Civil War. I mean, again, Lincoln was elected to stop slavery from moving to the West and eventually abolish it, or quickly abolish it, I should say, in the South. But seemingly these lunatics on the West Coast, well, in California mainly, they're just hell-bent on getting reparations. And the more he black gets to vote these lunatics into positions of power that they have not earned, in my opinion, it's just going to see. And the other thing is too, you laugh, but the reality is there's still millions of dollars being spent on these committees. There's also, and I'm going to play one more clip for you here, but I just want to tell you what San Francisco, again, one of the biggest shitholes in the United States, what it is planning to basically unleash on the United States, because if they would even come close to trying to do this, they would turn San Francisco into Detroit in less than a week. It would be just done. It would be bankrupt, a ghost town. I mean, they're already losing millions of people in the last 2 years. They've lost like 6% of their entire population between 2019 and like people are leaving San Francisco in droves. And if you remember all this, the people looting and the Walgreens leaving and the Walmarts leaving, and like they're leaving California. They're leaving San Francisco. I covered a couple weeks ago the guy who, I think it was Cash App, was bludgeoned to death, stabbed just randomly. I mean, this guy's a millionaire, goes downtown San Francisco to have an evening and gets killed. And see, I laugh in a way because these same people, this same ideology of these leftists of Google and YouTube and, all these in Alphabet, all of them are in San Francisco. Apple, this ideology is all around that area. But for what they're proposing is there would be a $5 million payout. This is the first stage of their reparations. There would be a $5 million payout to every black person in San Francisco. Here's where this is where it's comical and it's sad, and given enough people in power, because he black, I mean, if it's the law, it's the law. Whether the money, where's the money coming from, nobody knows. Because just that part of their reparations plan, the $5 million payout, would be almost $200 billion. That's more than 10 times what the entire San Francisco city's budget is. And that's also larger than 47 states, entire states, their entire annual budget. Just for the first phase of the reparations payment in San Francisco. It would bankrupt their city. It would turn it into Detroit overnight. And it's more money than 47 out of 50 states spend in a year. Forget the high crime, forget the looting, forget the murder, forget the high taxes, forget all the businesses and citizens leaving San Francisco. Forget all that. Forget them having already a $300 million budget deficit. Forget all of that. He black. We want my $5 million. Even though I never was a slave, my family never was a slave. There was never a plantation here in San Francisco, but I want my monies. And the lunacy behind this, it's not only, that is, like I said, the first part. Here's the beautiful part. Not only do you get $5 million, you would be automatically relieved of all your personal debt. Every black resident would be handed $5 million, and all of their debt would be eliminated, all of their personal debt. And they would have a guaranteed income of a minimum of $97,000 for the next 250 years. And any home that a black resident wants in the city, they purchase for $1. This is Covert Radio. You're just making this up now. You're just making this up. There's no way that's gonna happen. There's no way. You're just making this stuff up. Well, that's funny. Oh, yeah, watch this.
San Francisco's Board of Supervisors is backing a draft plan for sweeping reparations for African Americans. But no one is saying who will be footing the bill. The proposal would award every eligible black resident $5 million. It would wipe out their personal debt, guarantee a nearly six-figure income for the next 250 years, and offer homes for just $1. But the city is already drowning in debt, projecting a, wait for it, $728 million deficit through June of 2025. Kaylee, you can't make up both the fantasy ideological nature of this proposal and the absolute derelict, toxic budget accompanying it.
Yeah, it's so true. John Dennis, who's the head of the San Francisco Republican Party, said this is a completely unserious proposal. He said the $5 million lump sum payout seems ridiculous. But he went on to say it also seems that this is the one city where it could possibly pass, which you'd think San Francisco could possibly pass. But the broader American public, 68% told Pew we are against the idea of reparations. So in terms of a nationwide sort of system, maybe this happens in San Francisco. It's happened in some other jurisdictions. I don't foresee this having broad support nationwide.
San Francisco is one of the towns where Walgreens shuttered all of their locations there.
Yeah.
The African American and underserved population in San Francisco has been disproportionately affected by the crime, by the COVID wasteland happening, and all the more. So if they want to help those residents, I don't think an unserious proposal is the way to do it.
So I wonder, how do you actually qualify for this? Are we doing like...
No, I assure you, sweetheart, they are serious. They are serious. They're serious. So this isn't banter. This isn't a sideshow. They're dead serious. You know how I know that? They already spent $50 million to get to these numbers here. The committee that got all of this data together and made this proposal, they've already spent $50 million to get to this point. Nobody is going to spend $50 million on a gag and say, oh, so what's the real one? This is the real one. This is the real one.
How do you actually qualify for this? Are we doing like a huge genetics study? If you were, and my mom was a social worker, I talk about it all the time. We adopted a biracial baby. When I was growing up, we'd have foster care in my home, children from every walk of life. They were with a black family. Would they get reparations? By the way, we were in the San Francisco Bay Area for part of that time. So I'm wondering who actually can check what boxes to get this? And how many in the last couple of generations of blacks actually came from Africa? Like, is that how they're doing it? I have really basic questions here, because as Emily just pointed out, there are a lot of people, no matter what your skin color or your situation is economically, you could use some help. And I can't imagine you not wanting to be in a neighborhood where everybody is being helped. A high tide lifts all boats. I don't know. Does this make people want to study more, to rise, to do all of that? The victimhood is dripping in this. Who does this help?
Yeah, and who are the victims? This is a jurisdiction that never had slavery, so this is taking money from people who've never owned slaves and giving it to people who were never slaves. As you said, then it gets into all of the weirdness about how do you start categorizing people based on their ancestry. I think you go to these websites and it seems that we're all related to each other anyway. So, yeah, it's... You think, I guess you want to call it a virtue signal, but it's more of an insanity signal. And not that we expect sensible governance from the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, but this is kind of a new low.
Well, yeah, and it's an illegal and immoral wealth transfer. That's all it is. It's not about compassion. It's not about human flourishing. It's not about lifting people up at all. It's about power. It's about the left saying, we'll give you free stuff if you vote for us, so vote for us. And who's going to foot the bill? We all know who's going to foot the bill. It's the taxpayer. And the mass exodus from California speaks for itself. California is not working. It's going to work even less if this happens.
Yeah, I haven't had this discussion with my biracial adopted sister, but I think I should. I want to know from her perspective, too. Raised by black parents
really
just like me.
Point.
Who's blacker? Like, this is ridiculous. This divides us in ways that we can't even conjure.
Yes.
Yes. Leave it to San Francisco. Hey, everyone.
This is a transfer of wealth, and this is going to cause a war. This will be the bullet in the chamber, because this is taxation again without representation again, and that's what started the revolution. You know what I mean? We're not going to be, listen, my house, my family, my farm, my business, for my entire lineage has never benefited one penny from slavery. And guess what? I'm not fucking paying for it. And there are tens and tens of hundreds of millions of people just like me in this country who are in every state. They're not paying for this. Trust me. Because you may get the first however 100 million or two out, whatever. And then guess what? They're going to run straight to the federal government with their hands out and say, pay for this. Once that happens, that's the first shot that's going to be fired. These leftists, these lunatics, they want you to mutilate your genitalia. They want to open borders. They want your son to put makeup on. They want you to be comatose. They want your kids to be comatose with weaponized weed. So powerful, you may as well just do heroin and get it over with. We're all in these alpha wave induced hypnotic comas every day, staring at screens. And they're rolling their sleeves up to roll your sleeve up for the new form of compliance. Because the next time you don't take what's coming and they say, hey, you're going to put this in your body, or you're not going to have food this month, you're not going to have water this month, because we're going to take your central bank digital currency allotment and suspend your chip for 30 days. I'm telling you guys, you need to wake up and you need to immediately start getting involved. If you don't, we're going to war. From Covert Radio, we got an army you can see and an army you don't know nothing about.
He'd find it another town. He'd find it another town. He'd find it down 200. Look at here. He'd find it another 200,000. He'd find it another 50, 60. He'd find it another 50 here to 60 here to 50 here to 60 here to 40, 60 here to 60. He'd find it 70. He'd find it back 70. He'd find it another down to 80. He'd find it 80 here to 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 100. He'd find it on 10. He'd find it on 10. He'd find it 10, 20. You're out. He'd find it on 10, 120. He'd find it another down to 110, 120. He'd find it another down to 110, 120. 120, 120, 110, 20. He'd find it another down to 110, 120. He'd find it another down to 110, 120. He'd find it I'll take 115, 4 we go 110, 15. He'd find it another down to 110, 115. He'd find it another down to 110, 115. He'd find it another down to 110, 115, 115, 115, 110, 115. He'd find it where we go. He'd find it 110, 115, another down to 110, another 15, another down to 110, another 115. Now 20, you're out. 120, you about had it. 115, 120. He'd find it another time 120. He'd find it another time 117, 5. He'd down 20. 117, 520. We're getting on them short rows. He'd find it down 20. He 122, 5. He'd find it down 25. He'd find it